Sonny Hartwell, you are a longtime volunteer for AVET Project, which we thank you so much for. Brother, you have gotten involved lock, stock, and barrel, and I can't thank you enough for that. But you know what? Even beyond that, your service to our country. You're an old school Marine out of Vietnam. What can you tell our audience about, well, when did you go into service in the first place?
Actually, I joined the Marine Corps right after graduating from high school. Most of my family had been in the service. I had a brother killed in '67 in Vietnam.
Sorry to hear that, Sonny.
I had another brother that was just received his orders to head to Vietnam, and I want to join the service and try to keep him from that experience. But needless to say, we both served in Vietnam, and that was a blessing having him there. But I was just an 0311 ground pounder. Spent all my time in the bush, and that's what I wanted to do. That was my intentions when going in. And you know, war is a strange thing. You spend so much time with nothing to do in the boredoms of everyday existence in a camp-like setting, and then all hell breaks loose, and that might last for just a few seconds, but the terror and trauma that you go through in just those minute to few seconds can be mind-boggling. Which it was, and you know, it was strange when I came back. I was very proud of my service, but because of the times, we weren't accepted back in the country like today's vets, and thank God they've changed. We, myself included, had to almost hide the fact that we had served in Vietnam. People called us every name in the book, from baby killers, and the list goes on and on. And so you pretty much try to hide the fact that you had ever gone to Vietnam and served in a combat situation, because you were classified a stone killer.
So to compound the horrible experiences you had to endure on the battlefield in the jungles of Vietnam, you come back to your country that you went to war for, that asked you to go to war for, and you're not welcome at all.
Oh, not at all. Not at all. It was mind-boggling. I didn't understand it. At that point in time, I wasn't in contact with any of the gentlemen I had served with. That has since changed, thank goodness. But it was just so strange, because in my area, my neighborhood, I was one of the very few that actually went to Vietnam out of my group of partners, my friends.
When you came back, Sonny, did you get out of the military right away at that time, or did you continue?
Actually, my intention was to stay and make the Marine Corps a career. But because of my injuries and...
Because you are a Purple Heart recipient.
Yes, I am. I had a couple Purple Hearts. But because of my injuries and because of what I perceived after coming back, and the way we were treated, and then trying to stay in the military just seemed like it was going to be so negative, that I did get out of the Corps probably 8 months after returning from Vietnam.
Yeah, and you know, even if you had stayed in, back then, unlike, it's better now, not where it should be, but it's better. Even then, if you'd have stayed in, I understand that the military, in your case the Marine Corps, didn't really have any specific programs to help people transition more effectively back to civilian world. And you know, I too experienced that same hatred that you ran across when you came back.
You being a Vietnam vet yourself?
Yeah, and it is mind-boggling, and it didn't help transition at all. It made it 4 times tougher. Whether you stayed in, or I stayed in, but you know, there was still no programs to tell you what you can expect from society right now, and why that's going on, and it's not directed at you personally, and other things that would have made that transition more effective. So folks, you need to understand, you know, it was bad news. We're out there fighting for our country and come back and get spit on. That didn't not good. And it led to a buildup of those emotional problems that you can experience later on.
And I think that's important to mention because, like you said, Sonny, fortunately, we've learned a little bit in this country, and our war fighters today are coming home to hopefully a much better scene than what you had to endure. But there's got to be a great deal of empathy for you and for you too, Glenn, for our warriors right now and what they're experiencing, especially with the multiple tours that we're asking of them. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, the folks that are in today have to be commended with the multiple tours and the constant time and time again being put into those combat situations. I know from personal experience what that did to my mind, and I just can't even imagine or fathom what's going to happen to these individuals as the years goes on if the VA and gentlemen like this, our other guest Jim here, don't jump on the bandwagon to get these people some help. It's just going to become a crisis that this country has never seen.
And I think that's, you know, we're segueing into an important aspect or an important program of AVET Project, and that's our PRNR, Project Recuperation and Reintegration. It's a retreat for returning combat vets. If we had the resources, we'd open it up to anybody in the military, but we know we need to focus on that population of veterans because of the issues you just described and what you've been talking about, Glenn. They don't have the coping methods or the skills that they need, and they're certainly not being schooled by the DOD or the VA, which is segue again right into Jim Fazio and your business, Integrative Bodywork Incorporated.
Yes.
Well, I want to say, first of all, thanks for joining us, Jim, because you've privileged us with attending and providing services for the past retreats we did. Did our first female warrior retreat recently, and then the men. How was that experience for you dealing with these warriors?
Well, it was outstanding for me and sad at the same time. Seeing these young kids and these a lot of stress that they endured, and the physical and the emotional effects of those stresses really affected them on a deep level, and it was a privilege to work with them. I'm definitely looking forward to continuing spreading my services to them and helping them as much as I can. So.
And Sonny, you are continuing to go through therapy, and this is not letting anything out of the bag. There's a whole lot of vets out there that suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, particularly when the nation asks our youngest people, our bravest and boldest and, you know, hotshot kids to go out there and basically protect the nation and essentially, you know, kill the enemy. You're still experiencing the after effects of this 30, 40 years later. So you must have an appreciation for how treatment can help, yeah?
Oh, by all means. Treatment was not available when we came home from Vietnam. Even the VA didn't really want a lot to do with us, and a lot of the veterans coming back, myself included, stopped going to the VA for that reason, because they just didn't want us there, and we were treated like dirt. But now, thank goodness, there are so many people that are willing to help and come up with programs that can help, that it's very important for those coming back to realize that there is help available, and please don't